What up?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Beautiful. How's it going, guys? Good to see you.
We were just talking. It was probably 2 years ago when we last hung out and talked. And apparently, you've been up to some things, making some moves, doing some
In
changes.
Idlewild. Yeah, right? In
Yeah,
Idlewild?
yeah,
That
yeah.
was fun.
A lot of
I
fun.
know backstage you hosted us. That was super cool. Yeah, we got a lot going on over here. OV is launching on TYB. Crocs is launching on TYB. It's madness, but I'm happy to chat with you guys.
Yeah, let's get into it. I think always excited to talk to these projects that are flying under the radar of crypto Twitter, largely for good reason. So excited to kind of peel back the curtains here. So you're the founder of TYB, which is a community commerce platform that helps brands turn their fans into ambassadors through awards, challenges, and social engagement. And you're also the founder of Outdoor Voices, a leading athletic apparel company. So, I mean, I think before we get into TYB, we need to start with the big news yesterday that you are officially back at Outdoor Voices. I think you've maybe been back for a while. Kind of the official news just came out yesterday, but curious how you're feeling about that.
Yeah, of course. I'll give a little background. So I started OV at 23, ran it for 8 years. It became, I'd say, a darling in the space, in the consumer space. You may have seen a blue doing things hat on the West Side Highway or around your parts. But really kind of the mission of the brand was to get the world moving. And these blue doing things hats became kind of a symbol of your belonging to the community. They were play to earn in that you could only get the blue doing things hat by showing up to an event and participating in the mission. And that really kind of caught fire. Anyway, the headline there is OV had a very strong community, like very high evidence of engagement, enthusiasm, and people who like loved the brand. Um, I ultimately left the company after a bit of an ego battle between one of the board members and myself 5 years ago, which was difficult because OV was my baby. And kind of as a direct reaction started building TYB, which quite simply allows brands to have a direct line to incentivize and reward for those super fans for valuable action. Coming full circle, I announced yesterday that I've re-engaged with Outdoor Voices, which is super cool. I'm the founder, I'm an owner, I'm a partner. And the coolest thing from a world building perspective is now today, Outdoor Voices launches on TYB. And TYB was really the toolkit that I wished I had to essentially orchestrate this engagement and incentivize those super fans. And so here we are. I'm a little overwhelmed because the response, the OG OVers, like, has been very big time. So that's where we are today, July 29th, Tuesday. What's up?
Tuesday, July 29th, 11 a.m. Let's go. I'm really curious. I feel like there was an immense sort of drama around your sort of exit from OV, which I mean, trying to put myself into your shoes must have been incredibly challenging. And now coming back into the brand, I'm curious, like, what is it that gave you confidence to be able to step back in such a public way today, knowing how things can go with PE and financiers and board members and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, of course. I mean, in looking back, 90% of my experience with OV was awesome. 10% was hard. I, again, started it at 23. So I very much look at that experience, put a bow on it, and I'm like, thank you for those learnings. I also would say the direct-to-consumer model, like, of those first 10 years, like, I think is not one that proved to be all that successful. And so all of these consumer brands raised a ton of money. The founders got diluted. They lost control. We spent way too much money acquiring expensive customers on Instagram and Facebook and ultimately didn't own those relationships. And so I think the model, particularly for physical product goods and companies that sell them, like physical widgets, weird, has changed and requires, a bit more patience and less of like this hockey stick growth overnight because of the ability to fund or not. And so that's really the approach kind of this time around for me with my partners. It's certainly playing offense and investing kind of in, a plan we feel excited about, but ultimately the North Star is longevity with this brand. Like, I want OB to be here and around like Patagonia has, but for a younger generation.
Yeah, can you share more about the opportunity for TYB that Outdoor Voices revealed? Like, what were kind of the core problems maybe on both the brand and consumer side that you ran into?
Yeah, I mean, CAC has exploded. And so again, like, you're competing just based on how much money you've raised and how much you can throw to acquire customers through Instagram and Facebook. And so like that was the playbook of D2C. And at the end of the day, as you click into the data around these new customers that are expensive, they're not sticky. And so we learned by really prioritizing it, Outdoor Voices kind of in parallel to that approach. Like if you can keep your super fans close and start to grow this loyal base, bring them upstream into things like product development processes, make them kind of the stars across your channels through user-generated content, allow them to host events on your behalf as a brand, like really empower them as co-creators of the brand. They ultimately become more valuable over time. That said, we didn't have a channel to orchestrate this engagement at scale. And then next to that, like these people were not being rewarded or incentivized. And so from a consumer perspective, like TYB is all about I, as a user, being able to prove my fandom and earning for my loyalty to a brand over time. And so that's what TYB allows you to do, where rather than just clicking like and like doing that for years, I'm earning kind of these micro rewards that eventually lead to status that become bragging rights and unlock different access rewards, perks with a brand. And so really, like, there's a lot of kind of crypto core tenets that really, play in here. One, ownership, and owning your status and owning my consumer ID, and that ultimately unlocking kind of cool things within a brand. So that's really how 2IB plays into it.
Yep, it feels like we often undervalue, especially as builders, maybe more deeper in the crypto space, the value of status and the intangibles versus sort of the tangible, maybe it's using that broadly, the tangible value of actual tokens in your hand. So when we talk about rewards in this context, can you maybe give us a little bit more color on how you reward with status and
yeah,
I think that's a big open building place.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we work with consumer brands that obviously have products. So one example is we just launched a global leaderboard. So and this resets every week. So as you engage in what we call challenges with brands, so like little prompts, sharing to social, again, submitting feedback, etc., you're running up the leaderboard. At the top of the leaderboard, we essentially have products from a brand's Shopify for first position, second position, third position. And so this week, for example, the 2IB Global Leaderboard has rare beauty products at the top of the leaderboard. And so positions 1 through 3 get those products, and then 4 through 5,000 get gifted essentially Rare Beauty's new perfume. So product is like what we see, this audience or this kind of user have most appetite for. There's brand coins that convert to discounts. There's access to gated challenges and chats. So kind of a variety of flavors, but at the core, we work with Shopify brands and can automate kind of the delivery of a product for a reward.
I'm curious how you maybe talk about the kind of 0 to 1 phase a bit. So I was looking at your site and it looks like you have, hundreds of thousands of users. I think the top brands have like 190,000 users, which is amazing. Clearly some like real scale there, but I kind of remember the early days and I imagine, getting the first few brands was pretty tough. So yeah, curious if you could talk about the 0 to 1 and any learnings that came from that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, brands are not asking like for blockchain or crypto, et cetera. And so while there's a lot we believe in terms of this idea of the 2IB ID and kind of like this consumer owned identity on chain that exists not only within a brand or 2IB's ecosystem, but out there, like all of that is under the hood. And so we've really kind of obfuscated that from the experience. And early innings, like really we're selling new loyalty, like loyalty that is a lot more fun to engage with beyond just points for purchases. And so that essentially is where we started to see adoption. But the beauty of the early innings product is brands would send their best customers into the platform, right? And so they're like, customer lists, come join us in this program. And so we truly have kind of the highest value users engaging in this game. And then as like, more and more brands start to turn on, it becomes this multi-brand, multi-fan experience. And TYB for every brand is its most engaged channel. And so it really is this super fan hub that then supports essentially your marketing kind of product initiatives and other channels.
So I'm curious, is building consumer software or apparel harder? And are there maybe some ways
I
those are
joke.
similar that you'd expect?
I went from software spelled WEAR to software WARE.
Incredible line. Incredible
Right?
line.
Software to software. Anyway, I am not a technical founder, so I've really like prioritized getting like beast technical talent in, and it's been so much fun to learn. Inventory is a bitch, so I did not miss that. I'm really fortunate in this version of OV to have exceptional kind of apparel operators that like are excellent at planning and supply chain. It just is obvious to me kind of in the tech space, like why these types of businesses can get funded to the degree they are, because they're just way more scalable.
So I saw, I think, a clip from a conference maybe where you're talking about how, crypto is very much not built for girls, but, how important it is for you to kind of create the same, value creation opportunities for them that, everyone else is exposed to in crypto. So yeah, maybe could you just talk about kind of the deeper kind of reason you're building this product?
Yeah, I think like at the end of the day, like the thing we're focused on with TYB is brand fan incentivization. And so like as I'm a valuable contributor as a fan of Crocs, who also launches today on TYB, like there should be incentive mechanisms designed for me to like really also share in that value creation. And so there's kind of a few new features upcoming that I'd say like are more meaningful for creators, but ultimately like the landscape of crypto is pretty like finance dude. And those projects I wouldn't say like are all that appetizing or attract or have significant demand from like Gen Z or millennial women. And so in my view, we're like a really nice on-ramp into financial opportunity and kind of value creation via brands that women love. And full stop, that's what gets me excited.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the Crocs launch today? Obviously, that's a massive brand. I rock them all the time. I got my blue Crocs, and people, I think,
I love it.
Shoes around. How'd that come to be, and maybe what can people get in and start doing with them?
Yeah. Well, are you Crocs #1 fan?
No, but I mean, I could be. I think I have that potential in me.
Yeah,
how can I become Crocs #1 fan, Ty?
The campaign is "Are you Crocs #1 fan? Prove it." So it's again very much this fan engagement call to action. And Crocs, I think I pitched like in my first or second brand pitches ever, like way too early. There was no product. It was just me and a pitch deck, and they are finally here. I'm obsessed with Crocs, and so they go live today. It's this fan engagement channel. There will start to be kind of out of home wheat pastings in New York, and really people are joining and playing this game. And there's weekly themes. Again, this weekly leaderboard where you win for completing challenges. The first month top leaderboard winners essentially get to go to a T-Pain concert. So there's all sorts of cool things for engaging with Crocs. But ultimately, it's about proving your fandom. And if you're in #1 position, it's a pretty good deal.
I love it.
Ty, maybe last question before we let you go. I'm curious what the biggest lesson you're bringing back to OV is that 2014 or 2013 Ty didn't know yet.
I mean, it's just spandex. So I'm having so much fun with it. And
enjoy the ride. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. It's so much fun. So yeah, guys, join Crocs, join OV. Thanks for having me on. Have the best day ever.
Awesome, Ty. Best of luck.